It's Thursday, which means in Scientology land, it is the end of one week and the start of another. I missed the Thursday at 2 slot. However, it's 2 o'clock somewhere in the world. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining and welcome. Hello to everybody in the chat. We've got Eaglewood here saying it's in Belgium, Antwerp. Now psychiatrists spoken out in the newspapers and the radio. Fantastic. Educon here saying, real shame, psychiatry has more answers for many stuck in these groups. Exactly, I couldn't have said it better myself. We've got Hans Christian Schwartz in the house. We've got T, per Scientology Audit. Karen, thank you so much for joining. And welcome to all of the new members who have just been gifted a membership. Welcome and thank you. So, Scientology have many front groups. One of them is Narconon. The investigation by the Charities Commission has just completed into their UK activities, Narconon being the drug rehabilitation centre that they have in Sussex. They have Criminon, which is a criminal reform program that goes into prisons. They have Youth for Human Rights, United for Human Rights, and CCHR is one of them. There are many. I'm not going to list them all. But CCHR is the Citizens Commission on Human Rights. And what CCHR is an anti-psychiatry movement that Scientology try to use to eradicate psychiatry. And CCHR have a big museum called the Industry of Death Museum over in Los Angeles. And every so often, this museum goes on tour. And this week, it's in London. So I'm going to share with you the promotional posters that I uncovered and explain the plans for a protest this Saturday. If you are in or around London and want to join, please join me on Saturday, and we will show them that the abuse that's going on isn't in psychiatry. It is, in fact, in Scientology. So let's have a little look. Obviously, we unfortunately have missed the grand opening event, which was on the 23rd of September. But this is the poster. Citizens Commission on Human Rights travelling exhibit, grand opening, Monday, 23rd of September. Speakers, refreshments, all are welcome. Well, I question that, because if I'd have shown up, I'm pretty sure I would not have been welcome at their opening event. 81 Kings Road, which is in the Chelsea area of London, 7 p.m, and the phone number of Tracy Coleman. Now, in the media and in the press, Scientology will always try and claim that their front groups like Narconon, CCHR, Truth About Drugs are all independent social betterment programs that are sponsored by the Church of Scientology, but they are independent, separate organizations that have nothing to do with the church at all. Now, that, of course, is a complete lie, and this is pure evidence of it being a lie, because Tracy Coleman, being listed as the primary contact for CCHR and this exhibition, is the Director of Special Affairs at London Org. She is the OSA representative for the Church of Scientology London. Her job is to protect the Church of Scientology's image, deal with their PR requests and media, that sort of thing, and shut down any protesters and get in the way of any critics who are or former members who are speaking out. So the link here is very clear. This is Tracy Coleman's phone number. It has been published online and is freely available if anyone wanted to confirm their attendance to this event or get a hold of her for any other reason, for that matter. The second poster here is just the general promotional poster for the event. Exposing Psychiatric Abuses Throughout History, Psychiatry and Industry of Death Global Tour. Learn more about psychiatry's crimes and violations of human rights at the world-renowned CCHR Psychiatry and Industry of Death Global Tour. The visually spectacular exhibit features displays with graphic, archival and current footage, interviews with medical experts, and moving accounts from victims of psychiatric abuse. Bring your friends, family, and anyone else who deserves to know the truth about psychiatric abuses. Admission is free. That's not something you hear very often in Scientology. And it's going on the 23rd till the 29th of September from 10 a.m. till 8:30 p.m. every day, with complimentary refreshments. I am so excited. I can't wait to get myself some tea and biscuits complimentary of the Church of Scientology. I will be there on Saturday. If you would like to join me, please join me. We will be meeting after lunchtime. I will say, let's say 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll be there, and we will be there with our banners, with our signs, and we will be ensuring that people passing by who are body rooted into this museum exhibition know that it is nothing but a front group for the Church of Scientology. Now, why is this important? It's important because Scientology's anti-psychiatry message is harmful. The reason Scientology go up against psychiatry in this manner is because they believe psychiatry is the root cause of all problems in the world on planet Earth. They believe that psychiatry actively goes against Scientology, and Scientology is in fact the only way of saving the human race and of curing anyone of any of their problems. Scientologists believe that mental health issues and illnesses and struggles and challenges are made up, that it is not actually something that is caused by people's situations or their upbringing or trauma. It is all something that's made up by the reactive mind, and the psychiatrists are actually just trying to control us all with implants, is essentially what they believe. I'm going to read a quote here from a policy. This is one of Scientology's OSA policies, where he's talking about psychology. It says here, psychology does nothing. It can cure nobody. All it does is degrade. It even brags that it cannot change anybody, and so can be said to be a useless subject. That is a quote from Scientology policy. That is Scientology's beliefs when it comes to psychology and psychiatry. And so the key thing here is they are trying to come across as though we're not protesting psychiatry, we're protesting psychiatric abuses. And this is something that took a long time for me to get over in my own head to understand what they mean. So in Scientology, you're told that psychiatrists are using medications and electric shock treatment and all of this for the pure reason of harming people. And it's really clear to me now, but it wasn't back then, that there are abuses that go on in the world of psychiatry. Any industry, especially medical industries, there are going to be bad actors, and there are going to be things that are done incorrectly, applied wrong. People who act in bad faith, and people who harm people either intentionally or unintentionally. That is the case in any medical field. But the majority of medical fields actually help people, and most people are there to help people's, benefit people's lives, their welfare, their well-being, and that sort of thing. But in Scientology, there is no room for that. In Scientology, the belief is all psychiatry is bad. There is no such thing as good psychiatry, is what they believe. And it took a very long time for me to come to terms with the fact that maybe I could do with some mental health support, and maybe it might be an idea to go and see a therapist to talk about my trauma and what happened to me in Scientology. It took a long time to get over that and reprogram my brain to believe that perhaps there might be one or two good psychiatrists out there that don't want to control me or manipulate me, that do in fact actually want to help people. And I just need to find the one or two that might be good. And then obviously, as I went through that journey, I realized that most psychiatrists and most mental health professionals are genuinely trying to help people. They're not trying to abuse you or harm you in any way. But Scientology won't stand for this. They believe all psychiatry is bad. And this traveling exhibition is their way of bringing that information to the wider public. And they do so under the banner of CCHR because it gives them some sort of credibility by a special, big organization sounding name. If you see an exhibition on psychiatry or on human rights by an organization called the Citizens Commission on Human Rights, most people who have nothing to do with Scientology or have no knowledge of it whatsoever are going to think, they sound like a reputable body. They sound like people that know what they're talking about. And let's go and find out. Let's learn about this. It's an interesting topic. It doesn't say anywhere on this flyer that it has anything to do with Scientology. And I'm sure that the museum will have no mention of it whatsoever. But we shall see on Saturday. So it's important to go and make sure people are aware what they're getting themselves into. Quite often with these things, you have to hand over all your information before you're allowed to tour the building. You have to give your name, your email address, your contact information. You will then be entered into Scientology's database, and you will be hounded with non-stop messages, calls, emails with information about CCHR activities, and they will try and get you eventually into a Scientology org if possible. Now, CCHR is not, it is technically its own registered charity in the UK, but its turnover is very, very small, and it is run exclusively by Scientology Sea Org members and staff members, as evidenced by Tracy Coleman's number on this poster. So it's something that I want to go and raise awareness of. I will be live streaming at 1 p.m. on Saturday. So if you guys are in or around London and you want to join me, please do so. Get in touch. Send me an email if you want to let me know you're coming, and we'll meet up and we'll have a bit of fun. Obviously, our plan when it comes to protesting is not to get in the way or disrupt their event. We don't want to cause hassle for them. They have a right to have their own event in their own building that they have hired. It's not at the Church of Scientology. It is at a pop-up venue in Chelsea that they've hired for this specific event. So we're not there to stop their event. We're not there to get in the way. We're just there to inform the public of the truth about this organization and the lies that they are telling. They do not speak from an accredited or an educated background. The representatives of CCHR who will be running the exhibition do not have medical training. They do not have scientific expertise. They are Scientologists who work for the Church of Scientology in a voluntary capacity and get paid £50 a week and do not know what they're talking about. They are just regurgitating the information they have been told by L. Ron Hubbard, who again does not have any medical or mental health expertise or knowledge whatsoever. So we just want to go and raise awareness of what this traveling exhibition really is, and hopefully we can put them on their keep them on their toes a little bit and see what they do to try and shut us down, because that's one thing Scientology like to do, is shut down protesters and stop us from expressing our freedom of speech and our right to assembly. So that's it. If you guys want to join, please do. Here's the poster once again and the address. Exposing psychiatric abuses throughout history, psychiatry and industry of death, global tour. Learn more about psychiatry. Here's the address. It's going to be at 81 Kings Road, which is in Chelsea. So the nearest tube station is Sloane Square. And I'm looking forward to welcoming some of you guys there. I know there are some special guests, or at least one special guest that I know will be joining me on Saturday. So the more, the merrier. And if you can't be there in person, join us for the live stream, 1 p.m. UK time. So that'll be early morning for those of you in America. It's on until the 29th, so Sunday is the last day that it will be there, which is why we're going on the Saturday. So yeah, there we go. Eaglewood, what is David Minkoff a good doctor? Yeah, well, that's a whole nother topic of Whitney Mills and that whole debacle over in America at the moment. Hello to Leanie, SP Crusader. Thank you so much for joining. Here, Paintbox Tunes. I know so many people who've been helped by psychiatry and associated services. It's not a perfect system, but mental health care is vital. Exactly. And that's why this exhibition is dangerous, because by telling people that psychiatry is out to get you and it won't help you, that's going to prevent people who do genuinely need mental health support and care from seeking the advice and support that they need when they're in a time of desperation. Psychiatry is absolutely something that saved my life, and it's something that I'm very grateful for, and it is something that is really beneficial to anyone who's been in Scientology, I'm sure, because that healing journey does take time, and it takes a lot to process the trauma that you went through. And there are obviously people who have got other sorts of mental health difficulties and traumatic experiences in their past, and psychiatry has helped them. And let's not forget, psychiatry doesn't necessarily mean medication. It can be talk therapy, it can be seeing a psychologist, it can be lots of different things, support groups. support through artwork. There's art therapy. There's music therapy. There's all sorts of sort of things that are available to help people from a psychiatric perspective. And so for Scientology to be promoting in London that all of these things are actually harmful, I think is dangerous. And that's why we need to hold them to account. SP Crusader comment, it's on Eventbrite, acknowledged by the United Nations, apparently. Yes, exactly. That's where I found these posters, in fact. Eventbrite is where they promote a lot of their events online. In terms of the acknowledgement by the United Nations, I don't know too much about it, but I'm sure what that is something more like they have written to the United Nations to say, hey, we're the Citizens Commission on Human Rights and we believe that psychiatric abuse needs to be handled. And the United Nations replied and said, yes, thank you very much, we agree. It's probably, I think, nothing more than that, because the United Nations are probably very well aware of this organization not having the credibility that it claims to have and being represented by only a small portion of Scientologists rather than being a genuine citizens commission that is set up for the public benefit. Alrighty. I've been in mental facilities my entire life. None of the things they're describing isn't true. Okay, granted, some of them are questionable, including mental health. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is there will always be discrepancies. There will always be abuses and people that don't do things well, or things that aren't applied correctly, or mental health resources that aren't the way they should be, or they're not being done the correct way as per the law and regulations. That's the point. Is I'm not saying all psychiatry is 100% positive. There are always going to be discrepancies and issues along the way. What I'm saying is the majority of psychiatry as a movement, as a study, as a scientific field is there to support and help people. And there are some exceptions where that doesn't happen, where it's done incorrectly, where there are abuses, where, there are people abusing their power and all this sort of stuff. You get that in any medical field, 100%. I'm not discounting or discrediting that at all. But why Scientology are harmful and dangerous in this manner is they are saying all psychiatry is harmful. And that is a very dangerous statement, I believe, to be making. Zoe B, the irony, Scientology claiming to understand or respect human rights. The hypocrisy is so thick with them. Exactly. This is another thing to consider is Scientology staff members signed 1 billion year contracts, SEAL members, to commit to working 7 days a week, every single day, 14, 16, 18 hours a day for the rest of their lives and their next lives, for 1 billion years. They are provided accommodation and food. And that's about it. They have to go wherever they're told to go, work wherever they're told to work. They are restricted in terms of their freedom and their liberties. They're not allowed to use the internet without prior permission. All of their communication with the outside world is monitored and censored. And Scientology put great resources into trying to silence and muzzle critics and former members by the way of applying for public space protection orders to make it illegal for protesters to gather outside their headquarters. That is putting a restriction on free speech and the right to assembly. Their track record when it comes to abusing human rights is appalling. So for them to then set up an organization that claims to be protecting human rights and putting on this industry of death museum to try and scare people away from seeking the psychiatric support that they may genuinely need, that's why this is a very important issue that we go and protest on Saturday. So that's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Just a short one today, like me. I'm only 5'5". Thanks for joining, guys, and hopefully see you guys on Saturday. I have an update coming soon with regards to the Mid Sussex District Council and protest planning and that sort of stuff. So stay tuned. But for now, I'll see you around. And as always, I'm on war footing and I'm not fucking about.